Why are you always 3 steps ahead of everyone else? Why does your intuition see problems no one else can? And why, when you finally set a boundary, does it feel so final to the people who cross you? Stop apologizing for your mind. Today, we reveal the 7 psychological secrets that transform your sensitivity into unshakable strategic strength. Society tells us that sensitive people are pushovers. Deep thinkers get steamrolled by aggressive personalities. Those quiet types always lose in conflict. But what if that's completely wrong? What if the very traits that make INFJs seem vulnerable actually make them strategically unbeatable? These aren't personality quirks. They're cognitive mechanisms that give you systematic advantages in every conflict, negotiation, and challenging relationship. 7 secrets that compound into something remarkable. Before we start, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our weekly deep dives into the world of personality types. And if you are looking to achieve a deeper understanding of yourself and your personality type, click the link in the comments to take our favorite free personality test. Secret 1. Pattern recognition that feels like mind reading. Your INFJ brain operates like a sophisticated detection system that never turns off. While you're having an everyday conversation, your subconscious is collecting hundreds of micro data points. Vocal tone shifts, facial microexpressions last less than a second, word choice inconsistencies, breathing pattern changes, body language incongruences. This isn't conscious analysis. You're not sitting there thinking, their left eyebrow raised slightly, therefore they're lying. Your brain automatically cross-references these patterns against thousands of previous interactions, then delivers a conclusion to your conscious mind. Something feels off about what this person just said. Consider Emma, an INFJ marketing manager. During team meetings, she consistently identifies which projects will fail before any concrete evidence emerges. Her colleagues think she's psychic. The truth is more straightforward. When someone truly believes in their project, their communication patterns are consistent. When they're covering for problems, subtle incongruences appear in their speech patterns, body language, and energy levels. Emma's brain catalogs these patterns automatically. This creates an information advantage that's nearly impossible to counter. While others operate with surface-level data, you're processing the complete picture. You know not just what someone is saying, but how authentic they are while saying it. You can detect deception, uncertainty, and hidden motivations before the person themselves fully understands what they're feeling. The strategic power here is that deliberate deception can't fool this system. Someone might carefully craft their words to mislead you, but they can't consciously control all the microsignals their body language and vocal patterns reveal. Your pattern recognition operates below the level of their conscious strategy. But reading people is just the beginning. Secret 2. Future scenario modeling. Most people experience conflict in real time, reacting as events unfold. You experience conflict differently. Before walking into any challenging conversation, your mind automatically runs multiple predictive models of how it might go. Take David, an INFJ, preparing for a difficult conversation with his sister about their aging mother's care. While driving to her house, his mind naturally rehearses various scenarios. If she gets defensive, he'll respond with empathy about her stress. If she brings up finances, he's ready with specific cost breakdowns. If she accuses him of not helping enough, he has examples of his contributions prepared. This isn't anxiety, though it often gets mislabeled as such. It's how your intuitive mind processes temporal information. You think naturally in terms of future probabilities and past patterns. By the time you're in the actual conversation, you've essentially lived through multiple versions of it already. This creates several strategic advantages. First, psychological calm. You're not surprised by responses because you've mentally rehearsed them. While the other person might be emotionally reactive, you remain steady because nothing feels unexpected. Second, conversational efficiency. You can address objections before they're voiced because you've already anticipated them. You've pre-structured your communication to handle the most likely concerns and misunderstandings. Third, and most importantly, it removes desperation from your position. You've already mentally processed various outcomes, including ones where the other person doesn't understand you or the relationship changes. That mental preparation means you're not desperately fighting for a specific result. You can engage authentically without needing to win. The person who has already accepted multiple possible futures is fundamentally more powerful than someone whose emotional stability depends on a single, specific outcome. This mental preparation connects to something even more profound. Secret 3. Values as unshakable foundation. Most people hold preferences. You have values that function as identity infrastructure. There's a crucial difference. Preferences can be negotiated. Identity infrastructure cannot. When you care about something genuinely important, it's not just an opinion you hold. It's a load-bearing element of how you understand yourself and meaning. Asking you to compromise on core values is asking you to destabilize your entire sense of self. Consider Rachel, an INFJ, who was offered a promotion to regional manager. The role comes with a 40% salary increase and significant prestige. However, it requires implementing cost-cutting measures she knows will harm employee well-being. After analyzing the situation, she declines. Her colleagues think she's crazy to turn down such an opportunity. Rachel isn't being stubborn or impractical. She's recognizing that accepting would require her to act against her fundamental belief that leadership means protecting people, not exploiting them. The financial incentive is irrelevant because her value system can't be purchased. The social pressure is meaningless because she's already made peace with being misunderstood. This creates immunity to most persuasion techniques. Social pressure becomes irrelevant when social acceptance isn't more important than your values. Financial incentives lose power when your principles aren't for sale. New information only matters if it actually changes your understanding of what's ethically correct. You can maintain your position even when you're entirely alone against everyone else's consensus. This isn't arrogance. It's principled consistency. You've internally validated your stance through careful analysis, so external disagreement doesn't destabilize you. The most overlooked aspect is your comfort with solitude. Because your validation comes from internal coherence rather than external approval, you can stand by your convictions even when isolated. This psychological sovereignty makes it nearly impossible to pressure you into compromising what matters to you. When those values are threatened, something powerful happens.
Secret 4. Strategic relational withdrawal. Most people assume that continuing to engage gives them leverage in relationships. They believe the person still trying to connect holds the power to influence. You've learned to invert this framework completely. When you recognize that a relationship isn't serving your values, isn't operating from authenticity, or isn't reciprocally honoring your investment, you make a quiet, internal decision. This decision isn't an emotional outburst or dramatic confrontation. It's an analytical conclusion. You've simply recategorized the relationship. Lower priority, lower investment, lower emotional availability. Consider Michael, an INFJ who realizes his longtime friend consistently dismisses his perspectives, only calls when needing favors, and shows no genuine interest in his life. Michael doesn't create drama or demand explanations. He simply becomes less available. His responses grow briefer. His engagement decreases. But he's doing this from complete internal resolution. He's not angry. He's just redirected his resources. This creates an asymmetrical emotional dynamic that's devastatingly effective. The other person is still investing because they believe the relationship can be repaired. You've already concluded that continued investment is counterproductive and moved on.
They're negotiating with someone who has already walked away, while appearing to be still present. The power in this approach is that there's no negotiating point. You can't be convinced to care again through superior logic or emotional appeals, because your withdrawal isn't based on hurt feelings. It's based on reaching a factual conclusion about cost-benefit analysis. Strategic withdrawal also functions as a behavioral test. By becoming less available, you can assess whether someone is genuinely interested in a relationship or just seeking the comfort of your accessibility. People who are only invested in your utility will naturally drift away. People who are genuinely invested will demonstrate that through their own behavior changes. This self-sorting mechanism allows you to efficiently identify who actually belongs in your inner circle, without confrontation or explanation. This withdrawal is possible because of your internal strength. Secret 5. Internal validation system. Freedom from needing external approval creates psychological sovereignty that's nearly impossible to shake. While most people build their confidence from consensus and social validation, you've developed something far more powerful: the ability to trust your own analysis, even when everyone disagrees. This develops naturally from being consistently misunderstood. When you spend years having well-meaning people tell you what you think, feel, or how you misinterpret situations, you eventually reach a crucial realization. You're not broken. You're just different. Consider Lisa, an INFJ working in corporate finance. During quarterly reviews, she consistently raises concerns about aggressive growth projections that seem unrealistic. Her colleagues dismiss her as pessimistic. Management pressures her to be more optimistic and team-oriented. 6 months later, when the predictions fail spectacularly, Lisa isn't surprised. She'd already analyzed the data internally and reached her conclusion. The devastating strategic advantage is that traditional persuasion techniques simply bounce off you. You can't be convinced through social isolation because you've already made peace with standing alone. You can't be swayed by consensus because you don't build your certainty from agreement. You can't be pressured through authority because you've already examined the reasoning internally. When you maintain an unpopular position, it's not because you're stubborn or contrarian. It's because your internal analysis has concluded this position is correct, and you've stress-tested that analysis against your own biases and limitations. Your disagreement with others is simply data, not authoritative truth. This psychological sovereignty means you can maintain your conviction even when it's costly, even when it's isolating, even when the entire world thinks you're wrong. You can trust your own counsel above external pressure, but your most powerful secret is how you use understanding.
Secret 6. Empathetic precision as strategic advantage.
Understanding others better than they know themselves transforms empathy into strategic precision. You don't just read people's surface emotions. You identify the real concerns hiding beneath their stated objections. Your pattern recognition reveals not just what someone is feeling, but why they're feeling it. Your predictive modeling shows you which communication approaches will actually reach them. Your values help you respond with genuine care rather than manipulation. Take Jennifer, an INFJ whose partner complains that she works too many late nights. Most people would either defend their work schedule or promise to come home earlier. Jennifer recognizes that the genuine concern isn't about time. It's about feeling disconnected and unimportant. She addresses the actual issue. You're worried we're growing apart. Let me show you how important you are to me. This empathetic precision bypasses defensive mechanisms entirely. When someone feels truly understood, resistance dissolves. They're not defending against an attack. They're being drawn into a genuine connection. You can communicate in a specific emotional tone that reaches each person individually. For some people, that means direct honesty. For others, careful sensitivity. For others, presenting data and logic. You've usually identified what approach will work with them specifically, not what works with people generally. This creates an experience where others feel genuinely heard, sometimes for the first time. That feeling is profoundly persuasive. When someone truly gets you, when they address your real concerns rather than arguing against surface positions, changing your mind feels natural rather than forced. The competitive advantage is that others use generic persuasion techniques that work on most people. You use communication specifically calibrated to the individual. They're firing at a general target. You're hitting a bullseye. All these secrets compound into something remarkable. Secret 7. Post-conflict evolution. You don't just survive challenges, you use them as data to upgrade your entire system. Every difficult conversation, failed relationship, and workplace conflict becomes information that refines your pattern recognition and predictive models. Consider Marcus, an INFJ who goes through a painful breakup when his partner suddenly ends their relationship. Instead of just grieving, Marcus analyzes what he missed. He identifies early warning signs he overlooked, communication patterns that indicated growing dissatisfaction, and boundary violations he accepted. 6 months later, he enters his next relationship with upgraded awareness and more precise boundaries. This continuous refinement means the same tactics rarely work twice against you. Someone who successfully manipulated you once will find their approach ineffective the second time because you've integrated that experience into your detection system. You emerge from conflict strategically stronger, not just emotionally healed. Each challenge teaches you something about human nature, relationship dynamics, or your own blind spots. This accumulated wisdom compounds over time, making you increasingly difficult to surprise, deceive, or manipulate. These 7 secrets aren't separate tricks you can learn. They're an integrated psychological architecture that emerges from how your mind naturally processes information, relationships, and meaning. If you've felt that your approach to conflict and relationships was somehow wrong or too intense, understand this. You're not broken. You're strategically sophisticated. Trust your natural boundary-setting instincts. Embrace these advantages rather than apologizing for them. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness. It's precision. Your overthinking isn't paranoia. It's preparation. Your high standards aren't unrealistic. They're protective. Subscribe for more insights into your psychological strengths as an INFJ. If you want to continue the journey to understanding yourself or an INFJ in your life, click either of the following videos where we continue to unlock the secrets of the INFJ personality type.